Hey everyone, welcome back to TCOV Productions. I have seen The Adjustment Bureau, and I'm going to talk about that. Plot overview. Matt Damon plays young New York politician David Norris, who, through a series of chance encounters, falls in love with a ballet dancer named Elise. Sadly, a group of well-dressed, fedora-wearing gentlemen say that it cannot be so. That's right, Matt Damon, the Mafia is right on your ass. Okay, it's not actually the Mafia. Instead, it is an organization of individuals known as the Adjustment Bureau. But of course you would have figured that out by the trailers. I will go further into the details of the movie, trying to avoid major spoilers as much as possible. For those of you who just want a quick review, it is good. I strongly recommend it. It's thought-provoking, it's intriguing, and it does keep you guessing while still remaining a very good popcorn flick. I can wholeheartedly say to go out and see it. From there, first of all, I'd like to address something that might not have occurred to other people, but it kind of occurred to me. From a very sort of, I guess you could say, superficial level, just from the trailers, I started connecting this to Inception. It just sort of seemed to have that same vibe. This is not true, though. The movie is very pleasantly separate from anything like Inception. You know, Inception was more, science fiction-y, some philosophy going on there. The Adjustment Bureau is actually a little bit more fantasy, though it's weird to put that term to it. And it actually goes beyond the philosophical into the theological. That's kind of strange. You're probably wondering how that is. Now you might be thinking, theology, how does that fit into this? Well, bottom line, the guys from the Adjustment Bureau, they're not human. They're angels. It's not explicitly stated in the movie, but the idea is introduced. And I'm not spoiling anything. This is within the first, this is just as the real main plot is just up and starting. It's pretty much implied that these guys are angels, and they're working for God, or rather a monotheistic, all-knowing, higher being called the Chairman. Wow, I wonder what they could possibly be implying there. I don't know if it's some sort of, political correctness thing, though, the idea of God is not exactly, a Western idea or whatever, or particularly, Judeo-Christian idea, where angels kind of are, but, whatever, I don't know. But yeah, and sort of the driving concept behind the movie is that these angels, or one of them kind of refers to them as sort of case agents, which would be one way of putting it. Basically, these guys are tasked with upholding the plan, and this is where it gets even more theological, because this brings up the whole free will debate. It opens up that can of worms. Basically, these guys are carrying around these books that sort of are the roadmap to people's lives, and they show, what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. And that's kind of interesting. It's a very intriguing idea from the beginning, and there are several sort of fine lines that the movie treads, and it pulls off this multifaceted tightrope act very, very cleverly, and very well. The first line that it sort of teeters across is just the story by itself. This kind of thing could be done in such a way where it would be either very obvious that it's going to have, kind of a more sad ending, or, a more traditional happy ending. But it's the combination of the real dedication of Matt Damon's character, and at the same time the impossibleness of the situation that really keeps you guessing as to how it's all going to resolve. Also, there are time jumps in the movie where months and even years will pass, and I think that's a very clever device, because it kind of gets you in the mood of thinking, is this a prologue? Or not prologue, epilogue. Epilogue? Yeah, epilogue. No, prologue, excuse me. Yeah. Also, on a side note, this isn't one of the things that one of the fine lines, but the acting in this movie is superb. Emily Blunt and Matt Damon are excellent together, and it also has Terrence Stamp. I always like to see him running around. He was in Oblivion. Anyway, another issue that the movie handles very, very well is an issue that was kind of an Inception and was handled in a very similar way in that movie as well. And that is, when you have a movie that's very sort of, in a very modern setting, very present day, but has something fantastical, something just really out of the ordinary, this extraordinary element in it, you have to handle that element very, very carefully. Because if you don't, one possibility is that that the character will just talk about it with such ease, with such, this is very common stuff, that it just won't seem interesting, because the characters aren't treating it as being interesting. Or, even worse, the audience is just totally left out of the loop, which is equally bad. Now, sometimes movies can kind of get away with this by just sort of throwing people into it, discussing things, as this is very much average day. For example, the short animated film The Lost Thing. That's an example where that style kind of works. But with something like what's in the Adjustment Bureau, it really kind of wouldn't. The other possibility is treating it with such mystified wonder that it's like where the audience is questioning these characters. Have you never done this before? Have you not seen this? It would be like someone who's worked in the same huge towering office building for for the past 5 years, walking in and being like, holy crap, this building is big. It kind of takes you out of the moment. And again, the even more extreme side of that is just where it's exposition like crazy lazy. Again, the Adjustment Bureau finds a very nice medium for that, where the characters treat, or at least the angel characters, the case agent characters, treat their assignment as it's essentially it's at times a very challenging but necessary work endeavor. That this is their job. But still, at times you have challenging cases. Not every day on the job is challenging, but sometimes it is. It's still somewhat out of the ordinary, though they're used to the overall aspect of what they're doing. Same in Inception. It's not every day. You rob a bank. So it's still out of the ordinary, so the character's treating the Inception thing as a heist. It gets us very comfortable, and it's like, okay, this is, these are professionals, but it still provides that sense of, this is something different, this is something else. And again, Adjustment Bureau does this very, very well. It's very cleverly handled. It really gets you very well cemented in the sense of what's going on, sort of the mindset of these case agent characters, and I like that. It's very clever in the way it does that. The other one, the final real issue that it sort of balances along very nicely, and this is where, not necessarily more into spoilers, but I might get a little bit rambly in my own sort of musings about this. So again, movie's very good. I can strongly recommend going to see it. With that said, on to the rambling musings. The movie handles its, potential theological issues very, very well, because this is a delicate matter. This is a little bit risky. And as far as I'm concerned, this is God that we're dealing with. This is the Judeo-Christian Yahweh that we're talking about here. And that's a tricky subject, not only because, you could offend people of other religions or whatever, fine, but with a movie that addresses this whole issue of free will, you've got these case agents running around. They're tweaking things. That's the idea, is that they guide people on a selected path, on a predestined path, and nudging them away from things that aren't meant to happen. At the beginning of the movie, Matt Damon's character, he's not meant to see Elise again after their first chance. Well, it's not chance. Their first meeting it's designed. It's according to the plan. Because it actually helps to save his political career. That there's a spark that flies between the two of them, and that sort of galvanizes him to just give this really big speech. Very nice. He's not meant to see her again, though. Because, and again, this is a minor spoiler, it's revealed that he's meant to eventually become president. And if he stays with Elise, he's not going to fulfill that dream.